All right, let's take a look at tone. The tone of a poem can be like the tone of anything else. Only a few words can sway the feeling. Now when I speak, or when we speak, when everybody speaks, you can pick up how they feel by the tone of their voice. But in order to convey that in literature, you need to find select adjectives to convey how you feel, or nouns. And the word choice also is important, but in addition to that, a lot of the other things we looked at, punctuation, syntax, a lot of these things. But let's take a look at a couple of examples to see what I mean. So here's an example of Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. So obviously, by the way I read it, it's kind of slow and drawled out, because I'm not going to say, I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. No. You've got to get to know the poem. If you're going to read it, you've got to get to know the poem, and then read it in the proper way, so the tone of your voice imitates the tone of how it was written. But how do you do that? Well, get to know how it is in the poem. So with this one, we've got words here, sigh, ages and ages. It gives the idea of something long, and sigh, this type of feeling. Let's take a look at another one here. Henry David Thoreau, Inspiration. Just the title alone lifts you up. A clear and ancient harmony pierces my soul through all its din. So this is a more positive tone here. So we've got clear, harmony, pierces my soul, through all its din. These are great words. Just a couple of words there convey a nice feeling which have to do with inspiration. Let's take a look at another one here. With Dylan Thomas, Not From This Anger. Bam! Anger. Just like the previous one. Inspiration. Anger. Wants you to know in the title where we're going with this. Not from this anger, anticlimax after. Refusal struck her loin in the lame flower. Bent like a beast to lap the singular floods. In a land strapped by hunger, shall she receive a belly full of weeds. So keep in mind that these are just excerpts of longer poems, because you can't put the whole thing up here because it wouldn't fit, it would take too long. So I'm trying to get really good excerpts about what we're looking for. So you can get Dylan Thomas's tone in this. You can probably read that with more anger or even less anger and still feel how the emotion comes out of there. So I've circled some things here I just want to point out as we move along. Just take a look at this poem before we actually look at it. So we've got roof and love, fragrance, giving, happiness, intimate. So these are words that stand out. These are things you have to look for. What's the tone of the poem like? Things you have to point out. And these are some, before reading this, I kind of glanced over it and looked at it. And these are what popped out for me. Let's take a look at this. Hafiz, All the Hemispheres. Now, from that title, you don't necessarily know where we're going, but once you start reading, it's pretty obvious. Open up to the roof. Make a new watermark in your excitement and love. Like a blooming night flower, bestow your vital fragrance of happiness and giving upon our intimate assembly. So these words, roof and love, fragrance, happiness, giving, intimate, they all come out as very positive, even more positive than anything we've seen so far in this poetry section. And check out the way it says over here, and love. It stands apart, and love, period. I mean, he could have put it right up here, but, syntax here. Let's bang it down to its own verse here and make it end, and love, period, because that has to stand out. Bestow your fragrance of happiness and giving upon our intimate assembly. So these words, all put together, really convey a specific tone for this particular poem. Now, the tone obviously can vary greatly. I gave you some examples. Check out the amount of different tones the poem can take on. I have here the Canadian Poetry and Voice website, which promotes poetry for Canadian high school students, I think it was. But they have a really good list of all these different adjectives that are, different tones a poem can take on. So this will give you an idea of just the diversity that the tone can bring to a poem.